They were rampaging along, won their first 2 games. They've lost their last 2, but they could have probably won both of them.
Fantastic looking facility there in the deep south.
I'm sure they're going to come out firing tonight.
From memory, he was leading last week. Are you going to be leading this week, or?
From bottom with 6 points and second from bottom with 5. Yes and no. Yes and no. It paid off for them. They got a 2, double the 4 and won 6 points. Depends what the teams above you do, doesn't it?
Unbiased, Miles Davis.
Welcome to another episode of Unbiased with Miles Davis, where we go behind the scenes and the stories behind the people of the magnificent game of lawn bowls. Today, should be living over here, but she's on the other side of the Tasman, is Blackjack Katelyn Inch. Katelyn, thank you so much for joining me, but I need to go right back to the start. I know you're young, so it's not that far to go back, but whereabouts were you born and where did you grow up?
Hey, so I was born in Rangiora, which is just outside of Christchurch, and then I was raised in a little town called Oxford, so there's not too many people there, about 2,000, so a little country town, and that's where I did my primary school years up until year 8, but loved it, loved being on the farm, and growing up in the country was awesome.
So were your parents farmers? Was it a family farm?
Yeah, so family farm, so gone down the generations. Granddad was a farmer, and then Dad took over the farm and worked alongside him. And then Mum did primary school teaching, so she went to uni. I think when I was quite late, like when I was 10, so became a primary school teacher quite late on.
Right, I was just thinking that. So you avoided her teaching you at primary school?
Oh my gosh, thank goodness I did. My younger brother copped it for a few years, unfortunately, and I don't think he enjoyed that too much. But I was lucky to escape primary school before she was teaching there.
Now, on the farm, I'm assuming, I mean, it's tough work on a farm, and everyone has to pitch in. Did you help out, occasionally?
Yeah. Definitely. I used to help out a lot, especially when I was younger. I think I sort of lost that interest a little bit. I had a bit of an accident on the farm. It was the day of the AMP show, and the AMP show is the most exciting thing in Oxford. It's the best day of the year. And I was 8 years old, helping Dad in the sheep yards, helping him get the sheep ready to take to the show. And I went down to shut one of the metal gates, and before I could, a sheep hit my mouth, and blood everywhere, spat out some stuff, rang the ambulance, and then had to try and talk Grandma through where to find my tooth that had been spat out of my mouth. She managed to find it, put it in some milk, and then got it back in my mouth. So after that day, I didn't spend a lot of time on the farm. I think that sort of scarred me a little bit. But, there's definitely a lot of hard work, and it's great growing up in that environment for sure.
What were the other teachers like at primary school, before your mum got there?
There was a lot of great teachers. A lot of them have been there for, 30, 40 years. So they were getting on a bit, but it was a community where everyone knows everyone. So you knew them from when you were little right through to growing up. So, it was cool to get to know everybody, for sure.
Where did you go to college after that? Presumably there wouldn't have been one in Oxford. Where did you go?
So, Oxford actually has a year 1 to 13, so right through. But in year 8, decided I wanted to try something different, and parents were all for that. So went to St Margaret's College, and absolutely loved that for 5 years. Went to boarding school, and that was probably, I really, really loved school. Great time. Met lots of amazing people as well.
What was it like? Because I've been to a couple of boarding schools, so I can relate to it. But what was it? How did you feel when you first went there? Were you homesick? Was there crying and wanting to go home, or did you just settle in straight away?
Yeah, I think Dad felt really sorry for me. He wanted to come and bring me home because he'd been through the boarding school system and he didn't enjoy it too much. So the first term, I think there was a lot of crying. Yeah, I was very upset.
Was that you or your dad?
Yeah, probably Dad more than he wouldn't say anything. But now that I look back, I'm like, yeah, he was a bit of a softie. He couldn't handle it. But I was lucky because I was only an hour away from home anyway, so I could go home on the weekends and catch up with the family and parents. But after a term, you settle in pretty quick and you make friends, which eventually become family.
Yeah, I loved my time there. I know a lot of
Yeah.
people who didn't, but I loved it. Now, in terms of your academia, how were you a good student? Did you achieve decent grades?
Yeah, I was a pretty good student. I was a bit of a nerd at school, and I didn't like to get into trouble too much.
Teacher's pet?
Yeah, probably like some. Yeah, I would say so, which is a bit embarrassing. But no, I loved school. I just loved going, and I loved learning new things, and that's sort of stayed with me the whole way through school and university. But absolutely loved it, getting to spend every day with your friends, and yeah, it couldn't be much better than that, really, for me.
Did you become a prefect?
I had a couple of leadership roles. I don't think I was a prefect. I was more helping out with the boarding side of things. I was in a leadership role, yeah, in that regards.
So
But
you're looking after the new kids coming in who are missing their parents.
yeah, absolutely. I think we got it a bit tougher when we were at boarding school. I remember, the older kids, like we were their little servants when we came in, so we had to make them toasted sandwiches, and if we were sitting on the couch, we'd be asked to move off and sit on the ground for them. So I think we were a bit softer on the younger ones coming through, and yeah, had a bit more kindness for them.
Yeah, I think that's happened generally. I mean,
Yeah.
when I went there, it was very, very tough, and you certainly were in no doubt of your position in the pecking order when you first went in.
Absolutely. Yes.
You mentioned university there. Where did you go to university?
So I went to Canterbury University straight after I left high school, and so I did a sports coaching degree. Much to Mum's dismay, that took me quite a long time. I think it took me 5.5 years to actually complete. That was due to moving halfway through to come over to Australia, so I dragged that out quite a bit. And the intention there was to go from sports coaching and then go into primary teaching like Mum had done. But I haven't gone that path yet. So, yeah, things have changed a little bit, and I'm doing another degree now.
Oh, what are you doing now?
So now I'm doing paramedics. So, yeah.
Blimey. So you could teach sport, and then if anyone gets injured or hit in the face by a sheep, you can fix them up.
I know. How handy is that? I think that's exactly what it's going to happen. But I've always known I wanted to help people, and I thought that was through, coaching, teaching, that sort of avenue. But I think a little bit of more life experience and a few more experiences and growing up a bit, I've just realised that this might be better suited for my personality and what I really want to do.
Now we're talking to you essentially because you're a top lawn bowler. How did you first get into bowls? Were your family into it?
Yeah, I think that's how most of us start. So Granddad, he loved his bowls. There's a couple of clubs in Oxford, and just to be honest, there wasn't a lot else to do in Oxford apart from play sport. I loved lots of different sports. But yeah, bowls, Granddad mentioned to Dad one day that the club was dying. There wasn't a lot of members coming through. So he got a bunch of his rugby mates to come along and they sort of revitalised the club. And that's how we got brought into it.
Did you love it straight away, or did you think, oh, blah, I'm just going there to help Granddad?
I think that was, I don't think I loved it straight away. I think it was more just meeting people. I remember they used to flood the greens. They don't do that here in Australia at all. But yeah, used to flood them and we'd be running through the water and there'd be lots of kids around. So it was just like a really fun social environment and good to be away and out of the house and doing something. So it was more that side of it. I think I found bowls quite boring, to be honest. I don't think I had too much interest, but when I did start, I started to love it. Yeah.
Yeah. So when did you start, getting decent and start winning things?
So I had a lovely lady, Elsa, at Oxford, who used to take us for the coaching lessons. She was really cool. Got us into it. That when I say us, I've got brother and sister, and obviously a younger brother as well. So she used to take us and give us a go and take us to competitions. But I think I started to love it at high school. I approached the sports coordinator and asked if I could start a bowls team, and then away we went. Managed to get another girl, Brittany Tyson. She was a couple years older than me at school, and she was really keen to give it a go. And we ended up going. I think in our first year, we ended up getting to the national secondary schools bronze medal. So yeah, it just sort of started in high school, really. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So when do you start, progressing on the sort of regional scene?
It would have been probably 2014, 2015. Just started building up my profile, playing a little bit more. I think I was fairly lucky to get in a few teams like the Canterbury team, and then eventually to be recognised as an up-and-coming under-18. We had a very strong group of ladies in Canterbury, so I think that helped quite a lot, seeing them, perform and do really well and having like these role models to look up to. It was secondary school sport in that day was such a great opportunity and such a great competition to be a part of. It was always competitive. You'd get to go away to national competitions with all these school kids, and you'd all be staying in the same hotel, so you'd be running around crazily, but then you'd get to play bowls for 3 or 4 days and miss a few days off school. It was awesome. Yeah, it was just it was a very, very fun time.
Yeah, I wish I'd have found bowls when I was at school. I'd have enjoyed that. What about centre titles? Have you got any centre titles?
I've got what have I got? Fours and pairs, I think. I only won my first centre title, must have been, it's hard to remember. I'm so old. 2015, possibly. Not many centre titles, and I only got my first national titles recently.
Yeah, so. But you're still a baby. You're still a baby. We'll get to those national titles in a thing. So in 2015, though, that must have been a big year, because I understand, is that when you made your Blackjacks debut, or have I got it wrong?
No, you're right. That's when I made my debut. So that was a huge surprise. So I'd been in the under-18 Trans-Tasman sort of series and like development squad, I guess, for a couple of years. And then from under-18s, generally you went to an under-25 lot, but I skipped that and then went straight to the Blackjacks. So I was very, very lucky to get an opportunity to play Asia Pacifics. I still remember the phone call, and I think I was just so confused. I put down the phone and I thought, this can't be happening. Like, are you serious? And I ended up bursting into tears because I was just so confused with what was going on, but at the same time, so excited and honoured to have that opportunity to play for New Zealand.
That's fantastic, isn't it? And I think it's the Worlds in 2016. You're playing with a pretty decent lineup, and you pick up a bronze medal.
Yeah, absolutely. So 2016 World Bowls. That was just a bit of a whirlwind experience as well. Didn't, I guess, expect to be in that team and in that position, but was lucky enough to be given an opportunity. Obviously, someone saw something in me and took a chance. But that was just a fantastic opportunity. I was constantly just sitting in team meetings, wide-eyed, listening to everyone talking and looking around the room with all that experience. That was. It's hard to even remember that time because it was just, feels like a lifetime ago.
What was it feeling like? As I think you were the youngest member of the team, of the whole squad, being out there and actually delivering your bowls. Was there nerves, or once you got going, did you calm down? Yeah,
so at first I was absolutely nervous, but at the same time, in saying that, I don't think I realised the scale of World Bowls and what it all meant. And obviously, I knew I was at a world competition, but I hadn't been around the scene that long and known how everyone had gone in the past and what the expectations were and all of that sort of thing. So once I got past the first few games, I was just hoping to focus on my process and giving it a go. But yeah, I don't know how well I went. We went okay, but yeah, it was a big learning experience for me. Absolutely.
Well, now you mentioned Australia. You've gone over to Australia. You live in Australia
Yeah.
now. When did you go over there and why?
So went over in 2017, started 2017. I had been over a couple of times beforehand to play at a World Junior tournament that used to be held at Broadbeach. That was a fantastic opportunity to be involved in that, and you'd meet lots of people from lots of different countries, and managed to make a few friendships with some people, which was exciting. And then got talking to the chairman of the Broadbeach Bowls Club, and he offered me a place to work behind the bar and then play for the club as well. And at that point, I was still at university, halfway through my degree, but I thought, why not? Why not take that opportunity? And that's sort of how I've lived my life for the past 5, 6 years, just taking every opportunity I can. And if I don't like it, I said I can always come home. It's a 3-hour flight, so why not just give that a go? And yeah, it's all sort of fallen into place. I only planned on being here for 6 months, and I'm still here. So I didn't even pack all my warm clothes from home because I thought I was only going to be there for not that long. So half my stuff's still back in Oxford, but
Do you
that's all
need
right.
any warm clothes? Oh, you're on the Sunshine Coast, aren't you? Do you need warm
Honestly,
clothes?
they call it the Sunshine Coast, but it's rained every single week, I think, since January. Like, not even lying. And I've definitely acclimatized. Like, I've got my dressing gown and I bought a hot water bottle. Like, it's so embarrassing. I was telling my family the other day on the phone, and they're like, "Oh, how many degrees is it?" And I was like, "Oh, it must be at least 4 or 5." And then I looked up and it was 17, 18, and I'm like, "Oh gosh, that's embarrassing."
Right. So, how are you still at Broadbeach?
No, so I moved. So my partner Ryan and I moved to the Sunshine Coast this year. So we were lucky enough to get some opportunities outside of bowls. As much as we loved Broadbeach, so he's from Scotland and he had that same opportunity that I had, coming over to Broadbeach and playing and working for them. But as much as we loved that opportunity, we sort of wanted to go outside the bowls world for jobs. And so that's where my study came into play. And then Ryan got a job doing some epoxy flooring.
Well, there's plenty of that needed. Now, how did you two meet? Was it on the bowling green, or, eyes meeting across a crowded green?
Yeah, so I actually beat him at World Juniors. I just thought I'd throw that in there.
Oh no, you've got to throw that in.
Yeah, exactly. So no, we played a couple when I was playing in those World Junior tournaments. Had the opportunity to meet a lot of people, met him along the way, and then he was a big part of helping myself to come over and setting me up, talking to Barry, the chairman of the Broadbeach Bowls Club, and a big part of giving me that opportunity to become a better player.
So basically, he fancied you, and he thought, right, I've got to do everything I can to get her over here.
Let's just put it that. Yeah, that's it. 100%.
Fair enough too. Faint heart never won fair maid, as they say. So he had to make it happen. And he's a decent bowler as well. After learning the lessons after you thrashed him.
yeah. I've taught him everything he knows. So no, he's a very good bowler. Obviously, his brother Darren Burnett, he's a fantastic bowler as well. Commonwealth Games world champion for Scotland. Ryan's also played for Scotland in his time as well. So, you guys are pretty good.
Now, from a debut in 2015, your first Worlds in 2016, 3 years later, I understand that you're skipping the fours and the triples in the Trans-Tasman Test. How did that come about?
I don't really know how that came about. I've always sort of been more of a backhand player, I would say. So when I originally came into the team as playing lead, and then I went to two, that was the position for me at that time because I was still learning and I was still young. But as I've developed and learned a lot over here in Australia, there's so much knowledge and experience that I've gained in such a short amount of time. So I think it's given me the confidence to be able to play more of a backhand position, and luckily enough, the spots have opened up. Yeah.
How did you go in that 2019 Trans-Tasman as in the triples and the fours?
Great question.
I'm
Honestly,
guessing you didn't win it.
Well, they all merge into one. I know that we've won 2 Trans-Tasmans, but I don't think. No, I think that was previous. So yeah, I don't think we would have won that one. Australia is always a really tough competition. We usually have pretty good games against them, but they're very, very strong, and the depth that they have over here is insane.
But 2019 was a fantastic year for you, though, wasn't it? I understand that you got gold in the Asia Pacific and in the Australian pairs.
Yeah, absolutely. The Asia Pacifics with a good friend of mine, Kirsten, and then Wendy and Val. That was a great tournament for us girls, and Joe was part of the team as well, playing the singles, obviously, when we were playing the fours. But yeah, that was fantastic. A good win for New Zealand, and yeah, we were really, really proud standing on that podium. And as soon as I stood up there and heard our anthem, that just made me hungry, and that sort of cemented my, long-time dream goal of getting a gold at Commonwealth or World Championships. So that's what's the focus for next, is getting that gold medal for sure.
Now, the Australian pairs, who did you win that with, and what do they think of a Kiwi winning their national pairs?
I won it with Julie Keegan. She's a fantastic player. She looked after me since I moved over from New Zealand. She was at the Broadbeach Bowls Club, and she has also moved clubs coincidentally at the same time I have, to Kawana up here to the Sunshine Coast. But she's been a mentor the whole way through for me, and yeah, a very good support network. She's like my Australian mum over here, you could say. So that was amazing to win it with her. But yeah, I don't really know how they feel about that. They're probably not too happy. You'll have to ask them about that one. Sure.
They're going to be just like Farlap and Pavlova. They're going to be claiming you soon, and say that you are Australian. Now, 2020, despite the fact of COVID, though, you got your first national titles, I understand, singles and the pairs. Yeah,
that was crazy. Yeah, did not expect to even get one title, let alone 2. So that was a really cool time. It was just nice to be able to come back home and play in a backyard in Christchurch. So I had a lot of family and a lot of friends supporting me for that tournament, which definitely made a huge difference. But yeah, I don't know how that happened, to be honest. It just happened. Definitely wasn't expecting anything like that at all.
It probably happened because you bowled better than anyone else during the tournament. But so I'll say it for you, Katelyn, because you're far too modest in that one. I'm fascinated though, because having spent all that time in Australia, and everyone I've spoken to, Joe Edwards says as well, that the greens are very different there than they are over here. Yeah. How hard was it to adapt, and how much work did you put in training to get used to the Christchurch greens?
Yeah, it's a hugely different game over here. Just the fact that the greens every green you go to is completely different. So, yeah, there's a huge range of speeds. And then not only that, the conditions, that can be completely different. And the opposition that you play against. So you're playing a club game and you're playing a national champion. You're playing a state game, against some of these fantastic international bowlers. And luckily on the Gold Coast, there's bowlers, especially in the ladies, that have won world titles, Commonwealth game titles. So you're always coming up against these fantastic players. So that was hugely, hugely beneficial for my game, learning how to play against these players. And it made such a difference. So I put a lot of work in focusing on playing this sort of game that they play over here. It's a different game, and learning how to play that winning game, that game that wins you gold medals. So yeah, I've had a lot of opportunities to play quality opposition, and I guess the work that I did over here gave me enough confidence to come back to New Zealand and put it all into play.
While you're in Australia, you also played in the BPL with Shannon McElroy and Ali Forsyth. That must have been a great experience for you.
Yeah. I was called up late to that for Joe, who unfortunately couldn't make that one. And that was a whirlwind experience. Playing with those two such experienced and quality players. All I was trying to focus on was, don't get in their way and just try and help them out as much as I could. But that was a great opportunity, especially when I was, young and inexperienced. So playing in front of a crowd and playing on TV is things I'd never done before. And it definitely takes a lot of practice. And I'm not saying I'm any good at it at the moment, now, but it's a whole different ball game when you've got, the cameras are on you watching your every move. So, yeah, that was fantastic.
Have you played BPL since then?
Yeah, I've played for the Murray Steamers and I played the last one for Adelaide. So I've been lucky enough, to get 3 opportunities at that tournament, and it's so great just to see it on TV. Like to have your bowls 3-5 in New Zealand, it's a great exposure for the sport and just a fun, fast version of the game that encourages lots of people to play, which is so cool to see.
You move around. I mean, Murray and Adelaide and all that. So how does that happen? Does someone come along with a brown envelope and say, "Look, forget them, come to us this year"?
Absolutely, I get paid thousands just stuck into this little envelope to pay for these. I wish it was like that, but I feel like I've just been very lucky with a lot of opportunities I've got. Even in the New Zealand team, just sort of right place, right time, and playing well enough to get recognised and be a part of these great competitions. So a lot of it to me feels like luck, but I'm excited that I get these opportunities and to play against such quality players.
Winning the national title gets you the opportunity to go to Champion of Champions, and I think Joe Edwards, Shannon McElroy won it. I think Debbie White got a silver medal, I think, when she played it. But your one was cancelled. How disappointing was that?
Yeah, it was disappointing, absolutely. But in saying that, with everything going on in the world, to me, it wasn't the end of the world. COVID has had a hugely positive impact, I think, on my perspective and my view. Since I came to Australia, bowls was my main number one thing, and I was playing there, playing, coaching, working at a bowls club. My whole life was orientated around bowls, and COVID sort of gave me that opportunity to step back and say, okay, bowls is just a game. As much as I love it and as much as I love playing for New Zealand and having those opportunities, at the end of the day, it's not going to pay my bills and there are more important things in life. So I guess having that perspective really, made me realise that it was okay that it was cancelled and it didn't affect me as much as it probably would have a few years back.
Oh, that's good to hear, and it's amazing that at such a young age you can get that perspective. How much bowls are you playing now, and how do you balance that with your studying for your new degree?
Yeah, I've had a little bit of a break. So I guess it's the difference between Australia and New Zealand is Australia you play bowls all year round, whereas New Zealand you get those few months off in winter to have that break, and I didn't realise that I needed that break for a very long time. And so this year it's been good after Premier League and a few other little tournaments. I've had a bit of a break and been able to focus more on that paramedics, which has been so cool. And I'm absolutely loving everything that I'm learning. So I've just got to be really organised with what I do and communicate and make sure I'm aware of everything on my calendar. But I should be getting back into it in the next few weeks, but depending on COVID again, it's sort of not looking so good over here at the moment, so just got to wait and see what happens.
Have you still got a love for the game, and what are your ambitions now? Is it just purely world titles, or have you got other ones?
That's my main ambition. So I'm not ashamed to say I've always had the goal of being the best female player in the world, and when you have Joe Edwards in your team, Val Smith, you look up to these fantastic players and they make it a reality that could be a possibility and that could be an outcome. So that is the number one personal goal, but obviously to win a gold at Commonwealth Games and win a gold at World Bowls, those are the two main ones. So I don't want to stop fighting for those, and I don't want to stop playing for New Zealand.
What about all the people in Oxford that are missing you? Are you liable to return, or for the foreseeable future, are you going to be in Australia?
I hope Mum's not listening to this, but I think for the foreseeable future, I'm in Australia until I get my degree finished, but you never know. I might end up coming back. I do love New Zealand, but yeah, I would have to see how things pan out. There's no set plans at the moment.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Katelyn. I've really enjoyed it, and I look forward to, hopefully next time I interview, you've got that world gold medal around your neck.
Absolutely, thank you.
They were rampaging along, won their first 2 games. They've lost their last 2, but they could have probably won both of them.
Fantastic looking facility there in the deep south.
I'm sure they're going to come out firing tonight.
From memory, he was leading last week. Are you going to be leading this week, or?
For bottom with 6 points and second for bottom with 3. Yes and no. Yes and no. It paid off for them. They got a 2, double the 4 and won 6 points. Depends what the teams above you do, doesn't it?
Unbiased, Miles Davis.